So, welcome everybody. Good evening. I want to thank you to join us today. I am Vadim Rozov. I am CEO of Simplify Labs, and I am thrilled to welcome you to this webinar on a topic that is both urgent and essential for everyone in crypto industry. We have left only 1 month to MiCA take place. To be directly, it's already 6 months from the June as it already working for us. But for centralized exchanges, it's from the next month it will be fully applied. And second, as you know, well aware, as the regulatory environment for crypto assets is evolving quickly, and upcoming MiCA regulation represents a major shift, particularly for crypto exchanges and service providers operating in the European Economic Area. At Simplify Labs, we specialize in helping crypto companies navigate the rapidly changing landscape of compliance by providing them with MiCA-ready technical solutions. This is one of the reasons why we decided to organize the webinar and to offer practical insight on how to implement MiCA requirements in real-world operation. So I want to introduce Kevin Plumpton, CEO of Kyrrex. I believe he is the pioneer of MiCA implementation, and Kyrrex is already working for 3 years on the market with the license on Malta. And as I know, Kyrrex is pre-approved for MiCA at this moment. And I believe Kevin can introduce himself directly. Kevin?
Hi, buddy. Thank you very much for this introduction. I fear to agree with all you said because that sets a very high standard for what we're going to be discussing today. But I'm very excited about this topic because, as you said, we have been in the market operating now for the last 3 years in a regulated environment, which is considered by the European Union and the European entities to be MiCA ready. One of the few, very few, who are, let's say, MiCA equivalent already. And that means that our legal framework has already been in line with most of what MiCA is introducing. And that is why, as Kyrrex and you, Vadim, as Simplify Labs, know how much as well from a technological point of view you have assisted us in this process. We are now excited to see the shift from what is now called the VFA framework that we have in Malta to the implementation of MiCA, which means going across borders into all the European Union. That is probably one of the most exciting and, let's say, motivational sides of gearing up as an operator to be MiCA compliant as fast as possible in order to have a market that is not just your local legislation or regulation or wherever you are authorized, but the 27 member states as a whole single market. That is very something to be looking forward to in the next 2 weeks. We will see this introduction. So thanks for the intro and look forward to what we're going to discuss.
Yeah, I just want to add to this that for the last 3 years we are attending Paris Blockchain conference, and if 2 years ago it was almost no interest to regulation, for the last year, for this year, it was a lot of attention to this question, and I believe it's like major topic for the next year in total. So it will be not too many companies who will receive MiCA and definitely be pre-approved. And that right now it's hot topic to discuss what we should do to apply and how the process looks like. Because Kevin already passed first step or received this pre-approval and can share this insights about the process steps and was it hard or was it easy, and this is the goal of this webinar. And let me introduce myself. I am CEO of Simplify Labs, and we are software provider. We are offering white label solution for crypto companies, and we have like focusing on the European market and offering our software is MiCA ready. So we implemented all requirements from the MiCA itself and from the DORA regulation, and it allows to apply to MiCA and go with us through this process. From the technical point of view, we are covering, and of course, it is also operation point of view. It's policies required to apply, but this is additional topic for discussion. On top of it, I want to add that you can feel free to connect with us with Kevin or me via LinkedIn or email, and I believe we will post to the chat contact information and links, and you can book the appointment and discuss details your current situation and what we want to achieve.
Very willing to do so as well. Good.
Let's move to the agenda. We will start with technical requirements from the product point of view, what should be implemented, how it should work, and to receive this license. And if you already have some technical product you want to shift to the MiCA, it will be some insights for you to understand what to focus on. Another topic we will discuss is real-world implementation. It's Kyrrex case in details and the process Kyrrex already passed to receive this pre-approval. And also we will discuss white label or sub-license strategies and what can be done at this point if you don't have MiCA license for the next month or for the next year, but you want to operate on the European Union market. And in the end, we will discuss, like it will be interactive Q&A session. You can ask questions. So feel free to put during our speech question to the chat. We will read it and answer after our presentation. On top of it, I want to also make some interactive part. We prepared MiCA checklist. So this is a lot of questions you should ask and answer yourself. Are you ready or not to the MiCA applying? We will make small interactive part. I will ask you questions and you can put plus or minus inside the chat and we will see how it's going. And in the same time, if you want to receive full list, you can book meeting with me and I will share and answer all your questions about this list, about these questions, what we have done with our legal team. So let's move forward. And the first question I want to ask, do you have any policies or procedures related to clients' money for inside your company? So this is the basic you should have. And if you have it, please put plus inside the chat or minus. It will be interesting to see. Nobody have policies? Oh, you are right now. Okay, great. Daniel has. Tony doesn't. Oh, I see it's a little bit like between our conversation and chat, no problem. Do you have policies related to clients' money and clients' investment inside your company? This was the question. And also, another question, maybe you can write what jurisdiction you are currently operating in. It will be also interesting for us to understand and later on answer. Lithuania, okay. Estonia, good. Malta, cool. Czech Republic, Seychelles, okay. South America, cool. Thank you. So about the South America Seychelles, I believe you want to operate in Europe for the next years also. So this can be interesting for you because it's MiCA related webinar. And do you have a money laundering reporting officer in-house? This is also an important question. Yes, yes, minus, okay, plus, no, good. Okay, plus. Uh, uh, okay, one of the important questions, do you have risk management framework, including operational, legal, and fraud in place? Plus. Okay, good. Okay, everybody has. It's great news. Okay, and the last question from my side. Do you have IT system infrastructure defined and write it? So it's one of the important things to apply. No. Okay. Not writing. Good. Got you. Okay. It's right now. No. Okay. Let's move to the technical requirements to the of our MiCA applying process and the product. So I will be presenting, as you can see, we have I have defined six topics to discuss with you because this is the most like changed part, like more requirements on these topics. Of course, it's additional requirements to other parts of the system, but this is most significant changes which I want to discuss with you. Let's start with KYC, KYB process. So more information right now required to collect from your customers. When you can continue using KYC, KYB providers as a sums up or on FIDO, for example, but amount of information you should collect and provide to your MLRO officer is much bigger. Previously, it was all, like only personal information, maybe documents regarding the person and some contact information, and that's all. But at this moment, we are required to ask risk-based questions, person exposure, like political exposure screening questions, and the most important, it's financial information about the source of wealth, source of funds. It can be, and the first step, it can be only declaration from the side of the client, but after the receiving, like extending the first threshold amount, and at this moment it's 1,000 euro, you should collect all information regarding like provide documents. Clients should provide documents, and the thresholds limit should be based on these documents, not on your like internal policies. Just give everybody the same amount. So it's personal threshold limits. And later on, we will discuss like next topic. It's customer risk profile, and based on this profile, the threshold will be changed. If you are talking about risk assessment, it definitely country score should be implemented and based on customer risk type and like dynamic profile during the using of your platform. The thresholds and limits changing. And for example, customer can start with as a low risk customer, and during the using of your platform, this profile changed to high risk because of, for example, IP using to log into your system, or amount deposit, or like some rules was applied to this customer. And based on these dynamic rules. So let's say every quarter, the rules can be changed and added to the system from the regulatory point of view. And we implemented the system, and your system should also use it, not as static rules, but a system of rules which your MLRO officer can change up, or add new rules to it. So it's starting from, we have basically right now about 70 rules, but during the using, I believe next year it will be more and more additional rules applied to the customer behavior, and based on implementation of these rules, the customer risk profile should change, and it's directly applied to threshold management. So if customer goes through one basket to another, threshold changes. On top of it, it's also personal thresholds of the customer or the company. Another key point is transaction monitoring rules. So a lot of changes related to this transaction monitoring system, because it should be actively monitoring all transaction of this customer as a blockchain, and so fiat related, and based on the pattern of this transaction, it should be implemented some reactions. So it can be just changing of like limiting access to the system or changing the threshold, but it can be also some action required to from the regulatory point of view to report the activity from the customer, or for example make let's say ask for additional information from the customer. And of course its periodic review schedule should be in place and based on your risk policy and on your internal policies. MLRO or some operation related people should do periodic like review of the first of rules and of customer base. And if you are going talking about KYT and AML in all our like for all our deposits and withdrawal, it should be implemented rules, real-time monitoring, and it includes pattern recognition, network analysis, risk scoring, and of course alert generation. And the last one I want to discuss, but really important, it's travel rule. So Kevin can correct me if I'm wrong, but centralized exchange become really close to the banks, like operating. So we should understand all incoming transaction, all outgoing transaction, where it goes, from who and to who is receiver, who's sender. And based on this information, we should, like, if you don't know what, even let's say you are sending your own money from in crypto from the cold wallet to the exchange. Exchange should understand who is the owner of this cold wallet, and we should ask you declaration of the owner, and you should provide information. If you declare that it's your own cold wallet, and later on this cold wallet will be used in some activities, so each report should be reported to the regulatory. We will report that it's your cold wallet, and for future investigation, your declaration will be used as evidence. So this is the most important changes. Of course, from the, let's say, it's not ideal at this moment from a requirements point of view. So it's we are applying not we, like regulatory applying approach that customers should declare from which country the payment was made and so on. It can be done in crypto on blockchain. So but as like MiCA take place longer time, and it will be, I believe it will be changed, and we will see more requirements or even changes of the rules. But at this moment, this is really big shift from the let's say free market to more regulated market. That's all from my side from the technical point of view. If you have any question, please write in the chat. I will answer later on. I want to move forward from the technical to the real world implementation. And I want to give Kevin the mic about how they shifted from the current license and to the pre-approved MiCA, and what is changing during 3 years.
Okay, very good. First of all, you did a very robust explanation of the main technical, let's say, requirements. What I want to add, if you agree, I don't need to read through the slide, right? I can talk about in general what it was for us
Yes,
and
of
what
course.
are the challenges, right? Yes. So, what I want to add to what you just said, just to make an emphasis on these implementations that you mentioned, be it KYT, customer risk assessment, be it travel rule, is that there are also actual system and technical requirements for the product being used. So the platform itself has to go through rigorous standards in terms of a number of aspects. Let me start with, for example, operational resilience. So it is not enough to just show that you have a product and that you, for example, segregate customer funds, or that you have access to, let's say, a trading venue upon which you execute your transactions. It is not enough to show that you actually have, let's say, a fiat provider, or it's not enough to show that you have actually wallets on which you hold the custodial services, but you must also show that you have robust operational policies that manage the risks involved in ICT, in your technological framework. And this is not only assessed by the regulator, but as part of the requirements, all operators are required to appoint a third-party independent IT auditor that will assess the technology and provide a report which has a number of checks, which I will not go through today because it will take us the whole session, but they are very detailed controls that need to be adhered to. I would say they are similar to highest ISO standards. And this brings me to the next aspect. To be MiCA compliant, it also means that you must be DORA compliant. And you might say, but today we're discussing MiCA. It is true. But together with MiCA, which is the Markets in Crypto Asset Regulation, we're going to see next year as well, coincidentally, the introduction of DORA, which is the Digital Operation Resilience Act. This is also a new legislative body that is focused on assessing the operational resilience of your ICT framework. It focuses more extensively onto incident reporting, third-party risk management. So whatever you integrate with, for example, as a structure, has to go through an intensive risk assessment. Also, any ICT-related incidents are to be reported to the competent authorities. You need to maintain a risk matrix together with a risk incident reporting structure. So your chief risk officer internally must be aligned with all your MiCA and DORA requirements from a technology point of view to ensure that you are constantly compliant. It's not something that you prepare yourself for and then you're done. And that is why it is important that whatever platforms we use, these are MiCA and DORA compliant, because both are important, because both are EU regulations and both are linked together. This is just to emphasize what Vadim has just explained in terms of then what are the requirements to be carried out through this technology. So not only do you need to carry out the things mentioned by Vadim, but also the technology you use and the third-party integrations that are connected to your platform must also be MiCA and DORA compliant. So let's make sure we understand the complexity of having your product in line with the requirements. Another also important aspect that has been introduced to MiCA is your business continuity plan and your ability to be resilient to any penetration testing, any type of phishing attacks, any. So it is not only a matter of having a resilient ICT framework in terms of risk assessments in advance, but also an ongoing monitoring and having the reporting available to show that. When you work with a third-party supplier like Simplify Labs, who is completely in tune with these requirements, you can at least remove the headache of yourself making sure that the technology you have is constantly compliant. That is where Kyrrex has found our partnership to be very beneficial for us to be ready on time for us to be MiCA compliant. You mentioned now what are, let's say, the challenges of the real world implementation of all that you have said. And I think it is a change of mentality for anyone who is not already MiCA ready. So there are licensed providers who are MiCA ready, and therefore they have the infrastructure in place. So when we talk about certain requirements, such as, for example, minimum liquidity requirements or safeguarding of customer assets, or ensuring that, for example, ongoing reporting of your financial assets together with your fiat balances are reconciled on a daily basis, and reporting is done in a structured manner, confirmed by a compliance officer, and submitted to the regulator, is something you're used to doing. If you're coming into MiCA as a newbie, let's say, to this structure, if you don't have the right technology, back office, and the structure within your platform itself to provide you with this sort of reporting, it will be very hard to give the product, let's say, to be in line with MiCA, but also internally then to monitor it, to report it in line with MiCA. So I think one of the biggest challenges is that MiCA is as heavy on the front end, let me call it that, on the customer side, protecting customer vulnerability, ensuring that there is full transparency. So you see the introduction of mandatory white papers for any listings of assets that are up for trading. You see the requirements for any exchange or cusp to produce very clear terms, including where the funds are or the assets are being held, whether it is in custody or for trading activity, your trading destination venues in which you should be executing trades, the giving the guarantee to the customer that the best price will be provided to the customer in any spot exchange that they carry out instructions through your platform. So you have a lot on the customer end, and that is something you have to be ready for to implement. And that's where technology helps you. But there is also a lot on you reporting internally and to the regulator that is happening on the other end. And this is risk management and risk reporting. There is incident reporting as well that needs to be done. There is AML monitoring and reporting. There is sanction screening and reporting. Then there is transaction monitoring and reporting. And all these as well on a continuous basis are required by the regulator to be put together in reports that are sent on a quarterly basis. So what is, for example, right now mandatory from a Malta perspective is that we prepare what is known as VFASP report. So it is a return that you give to the regulator, showing the balances of all your assets, the reconciliations of these, and proving to them with all details with regards to your transactions and your final balances that you are maintaining your customer funds segregated from your own and that all balances are in place. This kind of reporting is technical and is MiCA required. So if you don't have the right technology to conduct this, is very time consuming and heavy on your end. So what I am trying to say as a reply to your question, Vadim, if it is, let's say, KYC, okay, and onboarding a new customer, you can definitely identify and verify the customer yourself. You can have manual people that check the identification document, check the form, name, surname, identity number, date of birth, and country of residence, and compare them and verify them. But when you're looking at the numbers that we look at as service providers, it's impossible to do that unless you have the right technology to automate it. And this is where I think the biggest challenge to get into MiCA is. It is making sure that the technology you implement reduces your manual effort and automates your processes. Why? Because it is becoming so difficult to comply with all the different requirements emanating from MiCA, DORA, the travel rule, which comes from the FATF, not even from the EU. So you have three already legal bodies overlapping into one product. If you don't have the right automation coming from the right technology, then it's going to be impossible to even get to getting MiCA compliant within months, let alone years. Like it's impossible. Sorry, months. Sorry, years, let alone months. So to answer your question, I think one of the biggest challenges is getting the technology right from the start.
Okay, Kevin, I believe we. So you are telling really like valuable information about already operated exchange on the market, and I want to ask you one step back. What's the process you see right now to apply for the MiCA? Because you just passed this process not too long ago, and this is really valuable information. So, what's the
Okay.
challenges you
So
face?
okay, so let me explain how MiCA will work. And this will bear a bit on also the grandfathering clause and therefore what's going to happen now in the next few days. So any entity that wants to have a MiCA license can go through two different processes. One is the, let's say, the standard process, which I will come to later. And then there is also what is called as the simplified application procedure. And this is what we as Kyrrex are benefiting from. And I will explain why. The EU has decided that certain jurisdictions, okay, at the time it was namely France, Malta, and Liechtenstein, it's not even an EU member, but entities that were regulated there had a MiCA equivalent regulatory framework. And therefore, because their regulatory framework was MiCA equivalent, the application process would be simplified and therefore would be faster and easier. What happened for us, therefore, in that case? We had a very in-depth thematic questionnaire from the regulator, which we went through all the MiCA requirements, and we had to provide all the policies and procedures that were required with the changes to the changes we have made to be MiCA compliant, have also had what would be called as a virtual compliance visit, therefore ensuring that the product is also compliant. And then any questions that arose from there were provided to us in the beginning of December, and we have already submitted our responses in detail, including updated business plans, financials, and now everything is already at the regulator. Because we were already regulated and licensed and authorized under a MiCA equivalent jurisdiction, by the end of the year, all we need to do is submit our payment to the regulator and the board resolution that we want to get MiCA. And since it is a MiCA equivalent jurisdiction, they will only assess the responses to the questionnaire and we should be granted a MiCA license, or else asked to clarify a number of points that will not be in line and then granted a MiCA license. However, that is the simplified route, okay, that is only available for the MiCA equivalent jurisdiction. So right now we know that France and Malta will be going through this. When an entity is not already licensed within Malta, but is licensed within a European entity, they are still allowed to operate following the 1st of January, with the exception that they cannot onboard clients or allow clients to exchange or to carry out trading activity within other member states of the EU in which they are not authorized. So let us say, for example, we are an entity that is authorized right now in Germany and in Italy because we have sought those two registrations over the years and we are authorized to operate in Germany and Italy. Following the 31st of December, we will be allowed to operate for a period of 18 months or less. Like, for example, Germany is implementing less than 18 months, and Italy, I'm not sure exactly, but you can check for how long they are applying the grandfathering clause. And in that period of time, you're allowed to operate, but you can only retain the customers to trade and only onboard new customers from Germany or from Italy. You are not allowed to passport that product or service to any other person in the European Union until you submit your MiCA application. Your MiCA application is approved, and once you receive the authorization, it is sent to all the other member states with a notification for passporting. The passporting is checked by ESMA, which is the regulator that is checking the implementation of MiCA across Europe. ESMA gives its green light, and then you can passport your license across the EU. So this means that anyone currently registered in any other state except for France and Malta, or who has not, even if they are registered in France or Malta, submitted a MiCA application by the end of this year, that means in the next 2 weeks it will be closed, to be part of the first lot, that means that everyone would need to pass through the long process, which is submitting an entire application form from start and providing all documents related to MiCA from beginning to end as though you were never licensed before. So you start from the very beginning. The business plan, together with the system architecture, together with your ICT policies, together with your safeguarding policies, together with your AML framework, your business risk assessment, your customer risk assessment methodology, your trading policies, your safeguarding policies, all of this, your custodial policies, your third-party integrations, your business-wide risk register, all of these, and there are not many more, I just don't want to go over, would have to be created, drafted, and compiled and submitted from scratch. The regulator in the entity in which you submit it will take its time to grant a MiCA license, and therefore they will have to wait until they are authorized. I hope this answers the question well, Vadim, but I
Yes.
am open
Yeah,
to
yeah.
also give more details.
I just want to add from my side, as I know, and we figured out it previously, that VASP license after the grandfathering period will be declined, and no VASP will be operating in cryptosphere. It only will be CASP, new type of companies, new type of license, and it will be like, or you get this MiCA license in European Union, or you're not operating. So if you just skip this process of applying for the MiCA during the grandfathering period, it will be just you can close your company after. So and start from the scratch. This is the biggest, let's say, challenge at this moment for the market. As we know, a lot of companies in, let's say, Poland, Czech Republic, Estonia less, but Lithuania operating as a VASP, and this will direct affect them. That's why I want to switch to next topic, Kevin. It's white labeling from the Kyrrex in general and what Kyrrex can offer. So this is mostly not about technical part here. So let's start. We have two different companies, and I am providing software solution. So if you want to operate under your own license and have technical partner who can help to apply and support and maintain your technical solution, you can always contact me and we can discuss possible cooperation. But white label solution I want to discuss with Kevin from the Kyrrex, it's a little bit different, and Kevin, I believe, can present itself.
Yes, very gladly. So, as part of the regulation that we actually comply to, we have also the opportunity or the option to provide to other service providers who wish to be operating in the market, but do not have what it takes right now, at least at this stage, to be fully MiCA compliant, to use and utilize our license to offer their products. Now, how does that work? Because obviously, there is no way the European Union is offering a window or a loophole for those who don't want to be compliant to offer their products and services. That is not what I am saying. So how does it work? The way it works is that instead of fulfilling all the obligations, you can build your time to build them up whilst not losing the opportunity to starting the operation by using not only the license, but also all that is required in terms of infrastructure, in terms of onboarding, in terms of transaction monitoring, in terms of DORA compliance, in terms of ICT and IT audit requirements. All that is provided to you as a package, and then you can create your user interface, your entirely distinguished and personalized corporate image, including your logo, including your customer approach, your UI UX, in which all you need to do is to disclose to the customer that the operation of or the service of providing, whether it is custodial services, reception and transmission of orders, or any type of execution of orders on behalf of the clients, is carried out through Kyrrex and the license of Kyrrex. So all this needs to be included in the terms and conditions. And once it is very clear to the customer in advance about these terms and conditions, and therefore the customer is agreeing to operate within an ecosystem that is labeled or is seen to look blue instead of green or white instead of yellow and has a label called A instead of B, but they know that their funds and their actual activity on any trading, let's say, destinations would be happening through Real Exchange, which is our licensed entity's name, that is licensed with MFSA, Malta, and is MiCA compliant. Once we have that authorization from your end customer, the customer becomes both the customer of the white label client and our customer. We have a very strict relationship with all our white label solutions that we currently have engaged with us, in which we obviously never coerce, never take over the customer, never even market or speak to the customer unless it is a matter of compliance. So if we have a question mark about an identity card or we have a question mark about a transaction, just to make sure that we are compliant. There is never any communication on marketing or any promotion. And if the customer relationship is terminated or the white label service provider, the white label client has, for example, reached a stage where they can offer the service themselves or through a third-party venue, all we need to do is to inform the customers that their assets shall be moved to a third-party service provider, and unless they actually instruct us otherwise. That is something that we have to legally sort of allow the customer to make that choice, in the sense knowing that the service provider is moving from one trading venue to another. But that is the law. So that means that if the customers are happy, they can, let's say, stay with their current service provider or use or be acquainted to the brand that they are used to without actually moving to a third-party venue, remaining loyal and giving any service provider either the time to become MiCA compliant or the opportunity to offer other, for example, licensed services. So I will give you an example. For example, we currently have a white label customer who is registered as an EMI, an electronic money institution. And as an EMI, they provide electronic money, and therefore they have these card solution payments. All their customers were asking for crypto balances on their wallets, okay? Let's call them wallets, on their account, okay, with the EMI. This EMI does not have the appetite or the resources to enter the merits of entering a whole process of obtaining a MiCA license. So they partner with us. The customers have launched now within their portfolio and their account the opportunity to buy Bitcoin, to sell it, to buy Ethereum, sell it, etc., and the main stable coins as well, without the service provider needing to lift a finger to be compliant with all the regulations. They just inform the customers that this is provided through a partnered company that is compliant through our compliance channels. We actually onboard the customer as well, and therefore we are totally compliant with our obligations from both ends. We control the client's transactions in line with the law. We control the onboarding in line with the law. We monitor every customer activity in line with the law, and therefore both this client and us remain compliant and offer the service to these customers without the need to invest all that money, time, and resources in creating the infrastructure themselves. That is how we currently offer the opportunity to entities who want to be compliant. I'm
Kevin,
seeing a question. Can I purchase a white label from a MiCA regulated company? Yes, as I mentioned before, we can do that. What types of companies are a good fit for sub-licensing? As I mentioned before, I think good companies are either ones who are in the financial services industry or the fintech space and really wish to offer this opportunity for their customers to have these virtual asset balances without the need to invest. Or else are getting there and want to get there sooner rather than slower, and therefore will use it as a bridge, say for a year or two, to then have the MiCA license themselves. I think those are two very obvious case studies because they represent some of our current clients we have already who use our service.
as I understand, you have some KYB process to monitor, to filter the companies who want to receive white label from the Kyrrex, yes, and after the monitor.
Yes, because there are certain aspects which we, from a reputation point of view, must ensure that the service provider that is coming to us has a brand and has an infrastructure that is also, in principle, compliant with the major AML and I would say industry standards as well. So, okay, it doesn't need to be maybe MiCA compliant, okay, but must have the basics of AML and customer due diligence in place to ensure that there are no huge reputational damages for us to be associated with such a service provider. Yes, we do carry out those KYB processes.
There's a question also from the Pedro Mendes.
Are all the compliance AML process going to be handled by your service, or is it possible to split responsibilities? That truly depends on an assessment that is carried out by a compliance team that can monitor your current AML framework if they find that it is equivalent to our, and therefore it is up to standard for us to create what is known in the AML 6 directive, a alliance agreement. We are open to do that, but I must prepare you that it will only cover and can only cover in terms of AML 6D, which is an European directive we did not talk about today, the identification and verification process. So at least your onboarded customer can be automatically onboarded with us. But if it comes to adding deposit value, source of wealth, source of funds, the directive does not allow us to rely on your customer due diligence, no matter how good it is, even if you are a bank. So there is no way we can do that. So certain aspects would need to be retained by our compliance function because the law doesn't allow it. That's why, not because we don't want to.
From the technical point of view, I can also add to this that it is possible to automate sorry, the process, automate and integrate, for example, the same KYC provider for both of us and share the information of the customer and to both compliance teams and be more user friendly from the collection of information. But it's definitely rely on your process and it should be defined from the start. We are slowly going to Q&A session. We already started answering the questions, and I believe we have 5 minutes to answer. You can type it, right? And we will review. Also, Kevin, okay, we have one. First one. About Simplify Labs, great. What makes Simplify Labs white label solution MiCA ready? So the main point that we are focusing on European market, and we already passed it with several of our clients the process of applying for the MiCA. Kyrrex is one of examples, and in general, to apply for the MiCA, we should demonstrate the platform, so it should be already working, and this is a separate session with a regulatory person to demonstrate how it's working, and it's in it's working as it in policies, describe it in the policies. So first, like when you apply to the MiCA, it's three major components. The first, it's always people, so it should be pre-approved from the compliance. So you should provide CVs and adequate previous experience and so on and so forth. The second is the technical solution, which you should demonstrate during the process of applying that it's working and in compliance with the MiCA. And the third, it's policies. There's two types of policies. Technical, it's describing about the software you're using and how it's working inside. And second, it's operation policies. This should be created by the people you hired for this purpose. And what we can cover is the technical solution and technical policies related to this. This is like big part of it, half, and the second, of course, on your side. So we are compliant because we always monitor the requirements and continue to improving our software step by step. Hope it answered the question about this. Maybe one or two more questions. Okay, thanks. Yeah, I see it is typing. In case we run non-custodial crypto trading automation SaaS, would Kyrrex be one charging the subscription fee from the customer? So we have, okay, I believe it's to the Kyrrex non-custodial. No, I believe technical question, it's not to the Kyrrex, it's to the Simplify Labs. So if we have several products starting from, we are focusing on custodial solution. So if you want to implement a custodial solution for exchange and trading and crypto deposit processing, you can, it is to Kyrrex. Okay, let me answer. So you can use it as a platform to receive deposits and make exchanges. And and you fully in control of some subscription or fees on this platform. But if you want to use Kyrrex as a on-ramp off-ramp solution for you, it's also possible. Kevin, you can answer this question.
No.
No,
If I understood correctly, we're talking about non-custodial crypto trading automation. No, it's not possible to create that because ours is completely custodial wallets are offered through it's we are a centralized exchange.
Oddly,
Unless I'm misunderstanding, Andres, so I might be misunderstanding you. So don't feel free to correct me or explain better. I don't mind. Or we can take it even offline. I don't mind. But I think we cannot help you. I think, if I understood your question.
Kevin, maybe it's related to on-ramp off-ramp possibility. Is it possible?
Okay, yes. If that is the case, definitely we can help. Yes, definitely, for sure. So if it's just you, so for example, we have also what we call legal entity plus. So a legal entity plus would be a legal entity that is onboarded with us, but is using the funds of their customers in order to carry out some trades, mainly when it is a fiat to crypto change. Okay, so we call it on-ramp or off-ramp. Okay, and if that is the case, definitely we can offer that solution, yes, even to a non-custodial service provider. But in that case, you would be our customer, and we can definitely do that. But I don't think that was a question from Andres, but we'll take it offline.
Yeah, great. I believe this is all time we have right now. All additional questions should be and can be. Okay, one more, Pedro. Okay, question. If my company is WASP, allowed to receive crypto payments from various crypto sources, the wallets, what is our responsibility in terms of travel rule to get info on the parties that pay to our users? Thank you.
It is once it exceeds a limit, it is on both receiving and sending, unfortunately. And to be honest, we can take this on another call where we discuss how technically and technologically impossible this travel rules is for all of us out there. Now, there are many service providers who are trying to provide a solution. But even if you just Google this, like if you had to check, what is everyone saying about the travel rule out there in the market? In Malta, for example, VASPs that are licensed right now are getting together to prepare a joint position on the impossibilities to technically implement this. Because we do not have what is today a standard like there is with Swift or with SEPA or with blockchain transfers are different. And they're just implementing this, expecting everyone to be compliant, and there is no technological solution as yet. There are attempts, okay, and there are protocols out there. They started, and some big exchanges are joining, but again, it is not all, and it's also very privately motivated. So, as regulated entities, you fear to choose one or the other. So, this is a very sticky subject. I like your question, but unfortunately, the answer is a big question mark for all of us. But we do have also technological solutions which we believe will be compliant. And I think we can have that conversation even offline because we are trying to find the best solution ourselves. And Simplify Labs can also help in that sense because this is a technology related issue. And we will show you how we are implementing it at least. Correct
Yeah,
me if I'm wrong, Vadim.
Kevin, I just want to add to this that we are in the early adopters of the MiCA, like from the practical point of view. It's a lot of documentation and requirements, but from the practical point of view, it's not finalized yet, as I see it right now.
Exactly,
And
exactly. And Pedro is writing these protocols are like private. Exactly, that is the problem. You are very right. Are private databases, and it worries us as well. You know, as well, jurisdictions differ in threshold. Yes, 100%, which is crazy because FATF is not just EU now. So what are we going to say? Different jurisdictions are going to have different thresholds. So how is that discriminatory to us? There's not going to be a level playing field. So the travel rule is one in itself, Vadim. I feel everyone's concerns here, and we feel it too.
yes, but let's see what next year's. The same example about the tokens available on the platform. So it's not, it's defined. They should have white paper and should have some clear understanding how it's working, who is issuing, and so on. But a lot of tokens, if we even not talking about meme coins, we are talking about like classical like coins which from the blockchain point of view, but it's not always some issue of this token, and from the regulatory point of view it should be, and this is the reason why on the MiCA regulated platform it's so hard to like provide 300 500 tokens like it's on non-regulated. Yes, so this is what we are going to see next year, how it's changing or adapting to the real world requirements. Because as we know right now, it's thousands and thousands of tokens, coins available. But on the centralized exchanges, MiCA, it will be like, let's say, no USDT at all, at least, uh, and so on and so far. We are running out of time. Kevin, thank you for your time, for
Vadim,
your
thank you so much. I loved it. I will be here anytime you want again. Thank you.
thank you. And everybody, just book the meeting if you're interested in more details and answering your questions. So you can book my meeting with me or meeting with Kevin even, or contact via email, and we can discuss for further cooperation. Thank you very much. Bye.